Integra was founded just over 10 years ago in Uruguay. The owner of the company was a developer with one of the largest, at that time, one of the largest call center providers in the world, but broke off once he realized that there was no legitimate cloud-based omnichannel solution on the market. Since then, of course, we have seen some others come onto the market, but we were one of the first to bring that technology. We work across 26 countries. At the moment, we work across 26 countries. We handle over 28 million interactions each year, and we're fast growing, looking to open up our market into the Philippines. So I'm going to take you into the platform now. So the first thing we're going to show you here is what the agent's experience looks like. And then we can move on from there, and I'll show you how we configure the back end of the platform. So first off, we have the agent screen. Within the agent screen, we have the PBX. PBX contains your basic dialing, transfer options, also includes a conference tool, video chat, and the ability to place people on hold or park the calls. We also have an internal address book. From this address book, we're able to transfer calls, initiate a chat, you see the recent call history. We can send SMSs one-to-one, and we have our external address book. If we, from here, were to make a telephone call, you'll see our CRM, including up to 7 custom fields, 3 levels of disposition, callback options available, including your upcoming schedule of interactions that have been set either by the agent or by the supervisor. For our text interactions, we'll see here an example of our chat coming in from our other user. We also here can introduce an avatar. The agent will be able to change. Good looking girl, looks just like myself. And we can change the background of the platform. If I wanted to, from here, I could also make an interaction of SMS, email, Twitter, or Facebook. We also have an integration with the Twilio API of WhatsApp. So you can have all of your text interactions handled from within one platform. To give you an idea here, we can also have templates included with our email interactions. And we see from here the history. We see here the history of the text interaction. We can transfer the interaction to our other agents, or we can close in disposition. From here, I'm going to move on to the supervisor side of the platform. Now, the first thing you're going to notice is that I'm still within the same instance that I had my agent functions. Now, the reason we have this is that we separate our logins into supervisor and agent. But if you have an agent who needs to have supervisor functionality, you can give them both the same username, have them log in as a supervisor, and have access to the PBX, access to the unified inbox, and all the other features that an agent would have. Now, we can separate what those users are able to access through our security groups. So from here, we can build, say, for example, a team leader. A team leader may be an agent who needs to manage the dialer, possibly add new lists, but only have very limited access to the information. So we will go through, We will take away their ability to download calls. We'll take away their ability to access the quality management. They can only access the users. They can only access basic functions of gamification within this campaign, so on and so forth. We can even give them specific access to reports. This is useful for any BPO activity because you can give a supervisor login to one of your clients as a BPO, giving them access only to report on specific reports on their specific account, which can add another layer of visibility for your BPO clients should you choose to give that. Keep in mind as well, supervisor logins are free of charge. What I'm going to do now is show you how we build our voice campaigns. So we have either inbound or outbound available. We give them a name. We add an email for our voice to email voicemail system. Add your DID. Any music that we need to be having other than our default, and then all the basic functions you'd expect. We have timeout and retry based on your strategy. 7 strategies rather, are available to be seen here. We have wrap-up time, the amount of time at the end of the call that the agent is given to finish their documentation before being put back onto ready status. How many people are available to enter the queue. The service level, this ties in with our other thresholds here. Our service level, abandonment rate, call time, and our automatic call distribution dashboards. I'll show you a little bit about dashboards in a moment, but for now, this is where we're going to set the thresholds that are going to be important for us going forward for our at-a-glance dashboards. We can give weight to the different queues as well. This will enable you to have different queues with different levels of priority. We can also add a priority level to our agents. So we can have a skill-based routing available. If you're unaware of what a skill-based routing means, it means that the first group will be offered the call. If none of them are available, the second group will be offered the call. This is usually based on either level of training, cross-training. It can also be used for when you have multiple queues, you can have an overflow from other queues. So if your priority queue is currently full, you can then set as your second skill group to pull users off other queues only in those emergency situations when all of your other agents are occupied. Within our internal queues as well, you're able to have an automatic announcement of position, hold time. We also have a virtual hold assistant built into the platform free of charge. A virtual hold assistant is a service where if any of your incoming calls are disconnected for whatever reason, the system will attempt to call them back when it is their place in the queue. This can either be added as an IVR option or as a default service as a general service across the queue. So if I haven't seen any questions in chat, do feel free to add any questions in chat if there's any other information you'd like. Keep in mind as well, today is going to be a very general overview of the platform. And if you do have a need for any more of a specific demonstration, please feel free to reach out to Miko and we can organize a one-on-one product demonstration after the fact. Outbound queues, very, very much similar to what you saw within our inbound queues, just a simpler process. Creating your DID. Now, rather than go through all of our text campaigns, I'm going to show you how our web chat campaigns are set up because most of our text campaigns are set up very much the same. What is unique about our web chat is that it is as simple as either downloading a WordPress plugin or generating an HTML code, which is simply entered onto your website. The web chat will appear as this. Of course, the colors and text can be adjusted. The next thing I'm going to show you is how we set up our dialing campaigns. We have 5 different styles of dialer available. voice broadcasting, power, predictive, progressive, and preview. Now, for any of those who aren't aware of the different styles of dialer, I'll briefly go over these. A power and a predictive dialer are similar in the fact that they make more calls than you have agents available. The idea being that the list that you have has a certain level of contactability. Given that a one-to-one calling ratio may not work for those lists because every single time you make a call, you may not necessarily be speaking with a person. The idea behind a predictive or power dialer is that it is a lower context form of sale, given that the agent won't know who they're going to be speaking with next, but they are far less time between calls, as the system is calling extra calls with the idea of connecting them as soon as they become available to a live person. Of course, given the style of dialing, that would mean that there would be a level of abandonment rate. So we can either manage that abandonment rate through overdial in our power dialers. This is how we directly adjust the speed of the dialer. Or we have the predictive dialer, which will automatically change the speed of the dialer. Where our predictive dialer is unique from other dialers is that we have a proprietary formula that we use, not the open source formula that is used by many other predictive dialers. And what that means is that we have zero warm-up time. Most dialers will take up to 20 minutes to get up to speed. And that is the most valuable time where you have your agents. That first 20 minutes is when they're freshest, they've just started their day. You want to be making sure that you're having your peak dialing performance during that time, and that's what we can deliver. We have a voice broadcast. A voice broadcast is traditionally used for surveys, but what we've used here, because of our integration of our voice broadcast with our IVR, we now have intelligent customer reminders and intelligent check-ins. A good example is one of our collections clients has a call that goes out to some of their delinquent clients just to send out a reminder to say you are currently $120 in arrears. Now, the reason it's able to say that number is that we have an integration with Google Text-to-Speech, meaning that the system can read out loud certain features of the client's record. So that means it'll first read out the amount of debt, tell the client, press 1 if you'd like to speak to accounts, press 2 to schedule a callback, or press 3 if you'd like to have us remind you again in a week. Those IVR records can trigger the system to then put that list, that record into the list for a later date. This is very good as well for insurance clients, for check-ins with elderly patients. There's a multitude of uses. The other side we have here are progressive and preview dialers. These are widely used where the agent will see the record come onto the screen. They will say dial, they will listen to a ringtone, and then either speak to a person or go to a voicemail. Now, of course, this is a much slower form of dialing, but a much higher context form of dialing. It will really depend on your individual use case. From here, I'm going to take you into a live client who is currently after hours, so I don't have as much information to show you, but this is how their day looked through the day. This here is our at-a-glance dashboard, which will show you the performance of the entire call center. Now, these call centers only using telephony, which is why you don't see any SMS, email, Facebook, Twitter, or WhatsApp. But what I can do is I can take you in and give you an at-a-glance of what their call center looks like. Now, the call center has many different campaigns. They're a BPO. Some days, not all of their campaigns are being used, but to show you one here, this is an idea of what their day looked like. Now, currently, there are only 2 agents logged in. That's myself and one of their tech support. So, of course, everybody's in available status. But during the day, it will tell you what are the statuses currently of each agent. It will tell you how many of the calls were completed, how many were cancelled, directly relates back to the cancellation rate. What was the average time of the call? 11 seconds. Now, for this queue in particular, I know that they have a 15-second service level. 15-second call time rather, which is why this is currently green. We have here as well the service level. Their service level was over. Service level is 15 seconds. Of course, this is all customizable. Now, what we can do let's say that we see here this red light. Now this red light as well is customizable. This is saying that the person has been waiting in the available status for too long. Given that it's been 2.5 hours, that's entirely understandable. Now this could be a call symbol saying that the call time has been too long. It could be a break symbol saying that they've been on break for too long. Now let's say it's a call time. This red light here is instead this symbol here, which means they've been on the call for too long. We can listen into the call if we're aware that there's some kind of problem with the call, or it could be a great opportunity. Maybe there's a junior sales agent who's being offered a big sale. They aren't aware to ask for the money, so you can then whisper to them, hey, buddy, close, ask them this, or hey, tell them this. Or maybe it's a situation where you need to enter into the call as the supervisor. So you can say to them, hey, I'm entering the call. You press this button here, you now enter the call. There's now you, the agent, and the client all together on the call. We can get the information for how their entire day has been, or we can chat with them. We can also pause and log them out of the system if we want to as well, directly from this board. To show you briefly as well what the dashboard looks like for a dialer. This is the dialer. It wasn't run today, but you can see there's the constant updates. It'll tell you again how many agents, the process rate of the contact. It'll tell you piece by piece what's happening with each of the numbers, including disposition. And to update our lists within the system, we can either pull them from the CRM, or if we want to upload via CSV file, it's as simple as uploading right here. We upload, we're ready. I want to show you as well an example of an iframe. Now, we have built into the system, as we saw here, a CRM built directly into the system. Again, this is customizable to your needs. This works very well as a call center CRM, but it is missing some of the features that a larger CRM, such as a Salesforce, HubSpot, Sugar, Agile, or even some more specific platforms may have. Now, this is where we can run an iframe, which is an example here, where the agent will make the call. The iframe will then populate based on the client record on their phone number to the exact record. It's a very easy way for us to create. The other option available is that we can build a full API where our CRM is displayed, but the information will be pulled from an external source. The other option we have available as well is a built-in collections module. Now, again, I won't go into great detail about this because this is a whole nother demonstration in itself. But just to give you a brief idea of how this is, we can schedule calls, generate dialer lists based out of this one as well. We can set them up based on different criteria. We can build portfolios of different debtors. And you can also get an at-a-glance look of your day's work. Another important point to bring up is that our system is based in what we call a multi-instance environment if you decide to go through the cloud. We can launch in an on-premise solution where we launch on your on-premise server, but what we prefer and what is a higher performance option is to launch through a Google Cloud server where we will provide each and every client with their own cloud server. You will at no point will your data be touching any other instance's server. Why this is important is that if anybody is looking to breach your data, they are far more likely to put the time and effort into breaching a large database. For example, Salesforce, when Salesforce went down recently, because all of their data is served on one single server. We'll never allow that to happen because you as a, say 100, 200 seat call center, even up to 1,000 seat call center, are a far less desirable target than a database of 45,000 agents in one database. The next thing I want to show you here is our reporting functionality. Remember again, if there's any questions, please feel free to send them through via the chat function. Our reporting is based with 220 predefined reports in the system. There are 220 predefined reports in the system, but if for whatever reason you have a report that either doesn't display within our system, or you have a report that you'd like to pull individual records out of different reports, we can create custom reports to fit your needs with any metric inside of the system. And we can even have those link in with metrics from outside the system through API. Now, to give you an idea, I know that a list of agents isn't a particularly interesting campaign, but it will generate. Given the fact this is a demo instance, I don't have a lot of information to show you. But what we can do, let's say this was a disposition report. This was a profitability report. This was a call time, dialer performance, any of those more important reports. We can have those built onto a schedule, set an email address, a file format, PDF, HTML, Excel, or CSV, give it a time frame. Let's say every weekday, 3 p.m. I want to receive this report to drop into my inbox. I have a question here from Ish saying, where will the call records be saved? If it is in the cloud instance, the calls will be saved within the cloud instance. Included with the cost of the instance is 12 months of unlimited storage for those records. After which it's a very simple process to pull the recordings either from the system, from the cloud server rather, transfer them into another cloud server, or even just extend the storage on the recordings within the server. It's a great question. So just go back to reports. We pull based on the day and the time. We could even have it down to the minute if it's necessary. And that will then just appear in your inbox. So you don't need to have somebody generating reports. You don't need to pull reports with information that's not relevant to you. You can just go through, pull reports based on the needs that you have, and eliminate the need for a staff member to be doing that. This is also, again, just go back to our BPO clients that we were speaking about before. It's a great opportunity to send reports to your clients every single day without having to think, because you go through, create the custom report that only pulls the metrics that you need the client to see, and then just set it up on a timetable to drop and speak with your clients. Great. Okay, the last thing I'm going to show here now is our gamification tool, and then I'll leave the floor open for any questions. We have built into the platform a complete gamification tool. The way this works is it's set up very similar to a standard board game, where the users will move around the board based on their results. The idea being to motivate your agents to either through competitive behavior, or through a sense of comradeship, or even just through basic motivation of looking at something that's going to inspire them to get them to have an extra result. We've seen many times in the past with sales teams who've had an additional 3 or 4 sales per agent given in each week, just based on the fact that they start to compete. A lot of people are already doing this with a whiteboard marker, as an example. So the whiteboard in the back of the place showing the different results and giving people a ranking based on the week. This just puts it into a slightly more elegant fashion. So the way we build that is we set a JPEG, we set a course around the board. This can be however you want it. Let's say we decided we wanted to have something longer. We've seen people set these up in ways where we have a baseball field, where the idea is for them to score a home run. We've had people set it up with a soccer field where they're trying to score a goal. We've had people set these up with mountain tracks, race tracks. All the point is that it's a JPEG. We set the course. We set an objective. Now in this situation, we could have, say, collections where they're how much is collected, the daily collections, how many promises have they had during the day. We can have this set up based on sales, how many calls per hour, how many positive dispositions. Pretty much any metric that's linear and sequential we can use. And then we can also set multipliers based on the hours. So maybe you say to your staff, look, I know it's incredibly hard for you to get a sale between 6 and 9 o'clock in the morning. But if you can, I'm going to give you an extra 3 points for every sale. Maybe at the end of the week, there's some kind of reward. From there as well, we can give them different badges. And then they go up in ranks based on how many badges that they accrue. The last point to show you, which I had missed when I was speaking about reporting rather, is the recordings. Now, let me just jump back into. I can go through. I can find the recordings based on time, based on campaign, based on agent, based data points, source, destination. Now let's say I go through and I grab this one. Now from here, I'm able to either open up a quality assurance model if we have those based, if they have those on in the system. I can also pull the recording. It tells you what's happening here through voice prompts, but I can also tag different points in the call. Say sales review. Keep going through. Now say here, great. Legal review. Now why this is important is that when I then send this here, first off I have the supervisor rating, I have the client rating if we set a after call satisfaction survey, but I can also now go through and say, okay, you know, Mark in legal, I need you to take a quick look at this recording. I'll send you over the link, and instead of having him go through and dig out where it is, he simply clicks on the link. It takes him to the point of the call. You see here, sales review takes him back to the point that was. This one takes the point this was, saving time. Now, at this point, I've covered the basics of the system that really need to be covered to get a full understanding of the platform. Now, of course, I know that there are many other parts of the system that I wouldn't have a chance to cover today because, of course, every individual call center is going to have its own needs. But I'd love to open up the floor to any questions that anybody has. Okay. Look, if nobody has any questions, we can leave it there. I will send through a copy of the recording through to Miguel and Miko and his team. I'm sure he'll be more than happy to follow up with any other questions. And you know, feel free as well if you have any more specific questions about, for example, how we build APIs, any questions about how we can build the CRM with custom format, any questions on any kind of specific logic that you want to build for your campaigns, or pricing, of course, please feel free to reach out to Miguel. And I thank you very much, everybody, for your time. And I look forward to hearing from you all in the future.
All right, thanks, Matt. Thanks, everyone, for joining the webinar. If you have questions, just feel free to email us. We'll be sending you the recording in a few minutes. Thank you.